Good boys. I need to go now. I will be deafened. I have a meeting.
So, colleague friends, welcome to today's workshop. I think we will just allow for maybe a couple of more minutes, 2 more minutes for the last people to join the session.
Bon, c'est bon.
Okay, colleagues and friends, I think we should start our workshop here today. We are 2 minutes past the hour, and in the interest of time, because we have a very busy and a very full program, so I think it's better that we kick off now. So welcome everyone to this workshop here today under the working title PR Social Media within the WPC members. And we are going to touch on the points, sponsors, and new clubs, the power of your PR, social media, and websites for the season 24 to 25. Also, a special thank you to the members and partners for joining us here today. What promises to be a very exciting and for sure also informative session. I would also just like to take a brief moment to mention that we have Ashki, we have Manal with us here today, who are part of our international team, and they are working with us both within WPC, Phygital International, and certainly also Games of the Future, anything that pertains to social media and the like. Very quickly to highlight the purpose of this seminar here today. It is to explain and showcase to all of you the importance of PR, social media, as well as the, let's say, proper maintenance of your websites for more reasons that might just meet the eye here today, but we will get much more into the nitty-gritty details on that. So firstly, as I'm sure you're already aware, it is crucial to communicate your news and keeping your supporters, be that new or old, informed, and hence by doing that, growing your fan base. And secondly, also, as some of you might be aware, it's actually a brilliant way to earn those precious rating points and improve your rankings in the system. And last but not least, it is also the best way to attract supporters, whether that's in form of a partner or a sponsor or a new talent to your club. But that being said, Ashki and Manal will also take you through some of these key tools that will be provided to you to enhance your PR, media engagement, and social media visibility within the WPC tournaments. As I mentioned earlier on, we have a very busy agenda, so I won't go on much longer other than just to maybe just highlight some of the bullet points that will be covered in this session today. And the first one being how to supercharge your WPC ratings and drive more opportunities for your organization. And this will be followed by a focus on social media and the power of social to actually achieve greatness. And then again, we will also spend time on how to move into putting a spotlight on PR and the independent endorsement of success. And finally, we finish off by looking at the success of your website and the window into the world of Phygital. There will obviously be, after these introduction words and more in-depth analysis and presentations from Ashki and Manal, of course, we will have time for questions. And please, as I normally say, please do make sure that the questions that you wish to ask is also related to the topic today. Should you have questions that is outside of the topic, please, by all means, feel free to reach out to us on our email addresses, just not here in this meeting, because then we will eat away time for the focus of this meeting. That being said, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen around the world, without further ado, I would then ask Ashki to take us through the first part of the seminar here today. Ashki, my friend, over to you.
Thanks, Nis. Appreciate the introduction. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. So the first part, is Nis said, is about the WPC rankings and why doing PR and social is important and can help you in terms of your the points you can secure and therefore impact in a good way your rankings for qualifying. So promoting the tournaments and growing that local awareness is highlighted, is rewarded with those WPC ranking points. There are at least 100 that you can get by doing some of the things that we will talk about today. And I will take you through what those are now or show you where you get them. So next slide, please, Victoria. Thank you. So these slides, the following slides, are from the documents that you should already have that highlight how the rankings work, but I'm just going through them to show where you get your points. So in this table, it highlights that for every club or for clubs, for players who have a social media presence, etc., who get through regional qualifiers, national tournaments, etc. You, as the local digital community organisers, you receive points that affect or impact and are added to your ratings and your rankings. Next slide, please. Thank you. On this slide, you will see that under the general events in that same document, it talks about you get receive points for just having a website and keeping it up to date, and also maintaining a presence of at least 3 active social club accounts on 3 different social media platforms. So you can see that actually together, and again, if we then go to the next slide, there's even more, you get points for for basically following these. So next slide, please, Victoria. Thank you. And then on this slide, there's lots of different elements to this, but at the bottom, you will see that there are points that are available that are related to posting highlights of your tournaments on your social media, and again you receive additional points. So all in all, you, as I highlighted, you will get over 100 additional points for basically doing some of the elements that we're going to talk through today. So it is in your best interest to do that. Next slide, please. As well as receiving WPC ranking points or rating points, doing these elements has an impact in terms of your social media presence and also your awareness so that you can attract sponsors. This just highlights some of the kind of the brands that are involved in esports in general and are supporting clubs in other parts of the world or different parts of the world. So just by doing good social media, being able to, and improving your marketing efforts, it gets you into the minds of potential sponsors. And building your web presence, building your PR presence through journalists and media, getting them talking about you in these conversations will help attract potential sponsors for you. The other key element is by doing all of these things, you also need to have the proof for these potential sponsors and brands to show that actually you have the audience that you say you do. So it's great to be able to say, yes, we've got however many people participating, but if you can show that, for example, on socials, the engagement rates, etc., and proving that to brands, they will be much more interested in working with you. So building your social and being able to report what you are doing on socials to potential sponsors will improve your opportunity, the potential of partnerships with brands like these. Next slide, please. It also, because of the social presence, and obviously you know this audience very well, that a lot of this audience are, I was going to say addicted, but they are, they spend a lot of time on social. So by growing awareness of digital sports and your involvement in it and what you are doing on a local level, it will attract potential other clubs, athletes, talent that you can work with. So again, it is in your interest to grow your social presence. Don't let others basically just do it for you or just kind of do little clips. You need to take control of it. It helps you to take control of it and do it on a consistent basis. With that, I'll pass over to Manal to talk through what is the power of social and actually what you can do with it.
Thank you, Ashki. Hello, everyone. So this section of the webinar is important from a social media perspective. We can go on to the next slide to reveal a bit more. So I'm going to be focusing here on giving you some simple, easy steps on how you can improve your ranking points and therefore your ratings. This comes along by increasing your account growth, right? And the way to do that is by posting engaging content We're going to be giving you tips on how you can increase your followers and start a good conversation. And through that, it allows you to build a community, a genuine community where you have followers that now become real fans. And this directly ties into what was mentioned earlier in the presentation, which is attracting talent and sponsors. So this is what this section is about. And on to the next slide, I'm going to dig a little deeper into the importance of branding consistency. So one thing that all of you have in common is that you are part of the WPC. So this means there needs to be so there needs to be, sorry, some background noise. So there needs to be an element of consistency, right, on your social channels. And what we have done on our part to support you with this is provide you with social media design templates, which I also will be going through next. But the purpose here is to have a consistent image with the way that you are posting and also the tone of voice that you are using when writing captions, when responding to comments or direct messages. Here we advise a conversational tone. We're speaking to a gaming audience, so we also have to bear that in mind. And we also encourage you to ensure focusing on phygital sports and raising awareness there. And remember that it's always called the Games of the Future or Games of the Future 2025 UAE. And this, of course, applies to all your social media platforms from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and the likes. So the next slide, we're going to be looking at how to use the templates that we have prepared for you. So here you'll notice that there are different template designs that are made tailored for your social media channel. And you will notice they're organized by topic. So if you want to post something related to an announcement, it could be an announcement of a tournament coming up, announcing that you're joining the WPC, or we can go to the next slide here to show a bit more. Or you can talk about details around your match, explain what the rules of the disciplines are. We have created a design for every type of topic. And here you would simply take the design and update the text and the image. And then your post will be ready, as simple as that. This is a great way of keeping consistency across all of you when posting on your channels, and it's visually appealing to your audience as well, and it adds further credibility. So we can continue, I suppose, to the next slide. Yeah, this is on the match results. Yeah. And then on the final slide, I'm going to tell you some best practice. These are some very easy tips. We can go into the next slide. So here I'm going to give you some very easy tips on how you can directly gain points and improve your rankings on social media. So when we think about posting frequency, if possible, it would be great to post 3 times a week on each platform. Think about the timing that you're posting, when you will get most engagement. So it could be between 3 and 6 p.m. usually is good, but you can also check your analytics on social to see what is the optimal time. I encourage that you use real-time updates so your fans or your followers are aware of events and updates as they are happening, so they feel they're part of it. The use of hashtags is really important because it increases the audience that you reach and gives you a wider pool of audience to tap into. Engaging visuals. So carefully select what you post and put at least 15 images to really give the experience of the topic that you're posting about. When you're thinking of videos, think about 1 to 3 minutes. All of these things will gain you more points, as was mentioned earlier in the presentation. The last one that is really important is tagging the main Games of the Future account on the competition day. That's also another big one. And also remember to use short and engaging copy, catchy copy for audiences to engage with. And that marks the end of the social section. I hope you will find it useful, and I look forward to any questions you may have at the end of this webinar.
And sorry, I'll just put my camera back on when I come back in. Apologies. Just to say, the templates that Manal has just shown you and talked through, and some templates that I will shortly share with you from a PR perspective, they will be in your personal accounts on the WPC website later today. So just to reassure that they will be shared with you after this webinar. So in terms of the PR piece, if we can go to that, in terms of the independent endorsement. So a lot of the channels that we talk about here are owned. What are classes owned? We are in control of them. PR is obviously completely independent because we are talking to independent journalists who can write what they want to write and say what they want to say. So it's about persuasion with them and providing them with stories and information of interest that they can then use to tell the story on your behalf. And as highlighted in the images there, this is the difference between marketing and PR. Marketing is obviously where we, as brand ambassadors or brand owners, will say things directly to a customer or to a client. Public relations is where someone is saying it on your behalf, and therefore it normally has more impact because they're perceived as being independent. Next slide, please. So what journalists and media are looking for in a story? This is very simple. And actually this piece of coverage, which I hope you can see, does actually explain it highlights and shows very clearly what a journalist will be looking for. So they're basically the 5-6 questions that any article you read will have, will answer these 5-6 questions. Who? So who is doing something? What are they doing? Where are they doing it? When are they doing it? Why are they doing it? And then how, as in terms of, how are they getting to achieve what they say they're going to do? On this article that's on screen, you will actually see in the first 2 sentences that they answer the who, what, where, and when in those first 2 sentences. So Oman has hosted, who, Oman, or the Sultanate of Oman, has hosted the first of its kind tournament, Phygital Football. So that's the what, which combines digital gaming and physical competition. The tournament, which took place from August the 12th to the 14th, so that's when, at the Oman Convention and Exhibition Centre, where. So they've answered the first 4 questions in the first 2 sentences. The rest of it is then explaining why and how they're doing it, and along with spokespeople and human interest, basically bringing a story alive so that it actually resonates and there's people explaining why these things are happening. So what a journalist is really looking for is very simple, but actually, if you get it right, because the journalist is writing about it, it has much more impact with potential sponsors, with other people who might want to participate in your competitions. Next slide, please. So what we are sharing with you today, and you can see some parts of it, but you'll be able to look at these in much more detail in your personal accounts, is we are providing you with some templates. The first 2 parts of what you are seeing on screen are the basics of what a press release is. A press release is basically answers the questions of the who, what, why, when, etc. that I've just gone through. And we have provided you with a template so that you can adapt that to different stories that you will want to tell over the coming months. As well as that, those 2 slides, you'll see there that there are different questions or different ways depending on what the subject is. So again, that will be all in the document that you will be shared again. The one on the far right-hand corner is something else that we're going to share with you, which is a template that you can use to email and invite journalists and media to your tournaments for them to actually attend. We are also sharing with you a coverage report because we would like to ask you that you share with us stories that appear in your local media so that we can shout about them elsewhere, and we can actually amplify that on our social channels and highlight the good work that you are doing locally. So all of that will be in your personal accounts today. Next slide, please. So how do you go about talking to a journalist is basically what this slide is about. Now, obviously, there are tools that you can buy on a subscription basis, which will be different for each country, that will give you contact details for journalists. If you don't have that, or you don't have the budget for that, the simplest way to get in contact with journalists and start talking with them is to read the articles that they write. So if they're writing about digital or gaming or esports, read about what they are already writing, and so you can understand what they write about and what gets them excited. You can then use the website of the media outlet. I'm not sure why I was, so apologies for that, I was muted. So the website of the media outlet should have contact details for a journalist that you are interested in speaking with. If not, their social profile will normally have some contact details, particularly on Twitter or LinkedIn. So you should be able to find a way to contact them. Then you can obviously contact them, introduce yourself, and call or email is probably better. Some journalists do like to be contacted via X, for example, but they normally explain that on their X profile that they are happy to be contacted that way. But call them, email them, message them, introduce yourself and the organization, explain what you are doing. And once you've started that conversation, just ask them what's the best way to keep them updated. So they might want regular press releases from you. They might want you just to let them know when events are happening. It's going to be, you have to do that on a individual basis, on a one-by-one basis. If they're really interested, obviously you can offer to meet them, so you can, whether that's at a tournament, invite them to it, or take them for a coffee or something, so you actually get some time with them so that you can understand exactly what they are looking for. But the key thing is about keeping in regular contact and letting them know there's things that you are working on in the tournaments that are coming up, because then that's when they have the most interest in writing something, when you are actually doing something. Okay, so next slide, please. The next part is actually about what to avoid. Now, because journalists are independent, and most journalists are very focused on their independence, what's called editorial independence, meaning they are allowed to say what they want, etc. That means that they don't like organizations, marketers, PR people to demand or assume that they are going to write a story just because a press release has been sent to them. And they also don't appreciate being offered money because they see themselves as independent or other incentives to write a story. Now, that is different from if you have agreed with the media outlet an advertising or a media partnership. That is something different from what I am talking about. An independent journalist is very different from like a salesperson at the media title. Just to be clear, we're not saying you can't do media partnership with a outlet, but they are different things. We're talking to a journalist about writing a story. The other thing that we would encourage you not to do is not to speak for the World Digital Community itself as an organization. If a journalist wants to know more about WPC, then please refer them to us. Our contact details are at the end of the presentation. In terms of photos and quotes, please make sure that any photos that you provide to a journalist and any quotes that you provide to a journalist has been approved and permission has been given by the people in the photos and the photographer who took the photo, because otherwise you are opening yourself up to being sued or taken to court, etc. So you do need to make sure that you have written permission in terms of photos. The same with quotes. That you need to have written authorization for the exact words that you are sharing with a journalist, because it's an on-the-record quote from someone. Now, just to be very clear on this, if you have had conversations with ministers or government people, etc., you need to be very careful in terms of sharing that with journalists unless you have been given written authorization to say that, yes, there's government support or Minister of Sport or someone said these exact words, because otherwise you are going to damage the relationship with those people, obviously, if you do that without their written approval. Next slide, please. So we're then going to jump very quickly onto the website. And the way that we describe this is, and you will know this, I know you know this is the place where you can best tell the whole story to your participants, sponsors, spectators, media, everyone, to understand what you are all about. And so it is a kind of like your window that allows everyone outside the world of digital to look in and understand everything that's going on. So all the things that both Manal and I have talked about is content that you can use for your website. So it is about making sure that your website is up to date with everything that you are outlining elsewhere. And making sure that it's clear and understandable. And as we highlighted at the beginning, you get ranking points for doing that. So again, in all of this, everything that we have gone through is in your interest to do. So we would obviously massively encourage you to ensure that your socials, your PR activity, and your website work together, but also are just continually telling the story on a local level about everything that you are doing. And with that, I think we will open up for questions, if that is okay. So, sorry, bear with me a second. I'm just going to reopen and see if anyone does have their hands up. There are a couple of questions in the chat that I will go through, but if anyone has raised their hands, please let me know. There was a question from Hamid. Is there a platform to follow for the ranking like for all the other teams? I kind of advised on that from the comms side. I don't know if there's anyone from WPC that can answer that, or should we address that at a later stage or come back to you directly? Alexander, apparently you might be able to help me, I'm being told. Okay, Hamid, we'll have to come back to you on that if that's okay. There was a request about the mock-ups being obtained and when will they be available. As I've highlighted, those will be in your personal accounts. It's basically within the next hour or so, I believe. So you should have those by the end of the day today. Are there any other questions? Not seeing any raised hands. Oh, hey there. Hello.
Hello.
Please,
You
your
heard me
question.
there?
I
Okay.
can, yes.
Yeah, I see in the presentation there were some sponsors like for alcoholic or something, I guess. I don't know, it's for sports. I think it's just like forbidden to use those brands for promoting or sponsorship. I just want to ask.
It will depend on your location, obviously. There isn't, as far as I understand, there isn't a specific rule about alcohol across the organization. But obviously any local rules will need to be considered.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Right. There was a question in chat. Is it possible for us to validate a directory of press representatives from affiliated organizations? So if there are specific asks, we might be able to help, but obviously there are, as I said, there are like media databases locally that you will be able to obtain that will be able to provide you with the most accurate and up-to-date information. But again, there is a contact detail at the end that you can ask us for see if we can help on any particular outlets. But in general, I would suggest that you work with local databases that should be available, or just in terms of looking on media outlets for contact details, because every media outlet will have contact details on it. Reba, please.
Hi there. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so hello there. My name is Reba. I'm leading member of Pakistan Preparation. I was just questioned that you in the start you said that there must be 15K followers in the social accounts and all that. So will you please elaborate a point that those who are new to this and their clubs and their social accounts are new, they don't have that much reach. So what they can do for that, and to it's a game of future, and to change the people's mind, and because it's kind of a collection of both the physical and digital, and to tell them and explain the concept. So what strategies you would suggest to those who are very new to this concept on, so yeah, will you please elaborate this point? Thank you.
I will address the points question, but Manal, if you can just come in terms of the tips, etc. But in terms of obviously the WPC points and rankings are very clear. So it is about finding organizations and athletes or gamers who you can encourage into your organization that fit those. That's when you will get those points. But Manal, if you want to just jump in for me in terms of the strategies that you would recommend in terms of growing a social base when it's completely brand new.
Yes, of course. Thank you for the question. So as you rightly mentioned, when you're brand new, you do have some educating to do, if you like. So this is where I think the templates that we provided and the topics, they're labeled by topic. So if you can consistently post, about specifically phygital gaming, which was one of the ensure bullet points that I had on my slide, and do this 3 times a week, and maintain a healthy community management, which means responding to any comments on posts that you have or any DMs, reposting as stories, things that you get tagged on if it's good content. Doing this consistently, week 1, week 2, month 1, month 2, builds your organic base of genuine followers, right? People who really want to know and follow your account. It's not an overnight thing. And usually once you've built that base with good content, good engagement, using the right hashtags as well. I have listed some hashtags on that best practice slide. So a great starting point would be to implement every bullet that you saw on the best practice slide. And then from there, you'll see, thank you. And, engaging visuals is definitely one, but also how, for example, if you do a carousel, it wouldn't be just one static image. You would put or just 3 images. You would go up to 15. So you're really communicating and educating audiences on what this is about, and cover different disciplines, widen the topics. So for me, if you do that consistently, genuinely, with the choice of content and how you're commenting and replying to people, you will find results over time. The other tip is, by the time you build that community, you start to add in media budgets and boost posts. But it's not worth boosting posts without first having the organic base, right, of what I just discussed. I hope this was useful.
Thanks, Manal. There was another question around, sorry, I'm just looking through. Is there a unified of the visual design package used globally for everyone to download and use from the WPC? So the templates that we have provided are based on the brand guidelines. So the templates, particularly from social, will be reflected, which will be in your personal accounts today. They they are adhere, or they stick to the brand guidelines that exist. In terms of the overall brand guidelines for WPC, my understanding, and we can confirm, but my understanding is that, again, the brand guidelines are available on the WPC website in the logins section. But again, I will clarify that and come back to you. Oh, I've just been told they are next to the templates on the website. So that's where the brand guidelines are. Any other questions? Okay, in which case, Victoria, please could you just go to the last slide, because I just want to give everyone the contact details for us. Thank you. So as I said, if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. That email address there, although it talks about press, it is actually for all social, web, and PR requests. So that comes to the whole team. So one of us will be able to pick it up and come back and answer if we can help with any of your questions. The other thing that would help us at our side is that if you do have socials, and we do have some of your socials already, but it would be appreciated. It would be great if you could email to this all of the socials that you own and are in control of, please, because what we want to be able to do is repost and reshare content that you are sharing, and be able to amplify and bring to a wider audience the stuff that you are doing locally. So if you could provide us with all of your socials, that would be really helpful, please. The other thing that I would just like to say is that we will be creating with a monthly newsletter that we will share with all WPC members. And that will highlight all the stuff that is going on in different locations. So if you have any news, or you want to highlight your recent events, please again share content, share stories with us, and we can then put those into the newsletters so that all of the other WPC members can see, and we can basically properly create a community between you all. That would be also fantastic for us. And that is it for the time being, unless anyone does have any additional questions. In which case, thank you for your time, and have good evenings and days.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ashley and Manal. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.